All right, season 7, episode 27. We got a special round of applause. Round of applause. That's right. We getting real presidential this evening. The election's around the corner, and it's time for us to vote.
It's time to argue.
So
that's what it is.
Get mad whenever you're on Twitter because you know how that goes. We are joined by the wonderful, the extremely important RaeVen, president of the Young Democrats, correct?
Yeah.
That's right. I did my research. And that and much more. We also have Mike Coleman, civic leader, organizer, community activist, I would say, as my frat brothers here sitting with us. A round of applause for RaeVen and Mike in the building, man. This is
and I'd like to throw in the plug
special.
that Mike is our political affairs chair in the Marion County Young Democrats.
My God, he wears a lot of hats.
He wears a lot of hats. He's the Renaissance man.
Right. Yeah, it might be.
You got a new position every time I see you
Every time.
somewhere.
Oh,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
We're trying to add more to that list.
He's in the rooms where it happens.
Staff
Absolutely.
member.
For sure.
He on the team.
Did you get that reference?
Yes, Hamilton.
I knew you would because you do
I'm a theater person my whole life. I started in commercials when I was 3.
I tell Hamilton jokes all the time, but they just go in the air.
Yep.
Because they haven't seen it.
Probably won't.
When they hit guns and shit, when I got to get my right hand man back, when I got to get my right hand.
Yeah. Talk to him, RaeVen.
No, that's
It's
my
fine.
jam.
I'm sure it's good. I believe it.
I want them to watch.
His shtick works better in animation than it does in real life. To me.
Does it?
Yeah.
But that's how he got on, though. Anyways, let's not get too sidetracked.
It comes off really corny in
And you know
real
what?
life.
RaeVen, can you please just let everybody know, let the world know how you really get down with this
Yeah.
political business in the city of Indianapolis, please?
Yeah, so my name is RaeVen Ridgell. I go by the Presidential Barbie. I have been in politics and the political field my entire life. I grew up with my grandfather being a political strategist and a political activist in Chicagoland. So I grew up
Shout
with
to the crib.
Wow.
Yep, shout out to the crib. So I grew up with the mayor, Richard Hatcher's walking around, and the then Senator Obama's walking around. And so I learned at a
Crazy.
young age the importance of civic engagement and of always remaining injected in the conversation, no matter what.
So you knew Barack was going to be the president before Barack was the president. Like, you knew it was coming.
Shout out to Hussein. Real one.
Yeah, but politics is such a long game that you kind of see where people are going 10, 15 years before they go there.
Really?
Like, I can predict a few people who aren't going to be in the next presidential cycle.
Give us the name.
Yeah, can you talk to
We
him?
want to know who they are.
You sound a real
Right, you reading the political
Illuminati
script.
right now.
I think.
How do you get on that
What
mailing
episode of
list?
Succession is this?
Will
Talk to
Bernie
us.
survive till next season? Is Bernie gonna make it to next season?
Yeah.
There are a few people who won't make it to next season.
Yeah.
Oh, they gonna vote Bernie off the island.
I think,
Sick of his shit.
I think that.
He's gonna have a space on the
that's-
island.
Yeah, it's time for the green party.
You can't vote Bernie.
It's time for Bernie to go green.
I think I want to say that people recognize it or not, he is also a millionaire,
Really?
right? And so I don't want people to be fooled. Politics is a long game with a lot of money that changes
He's doing it for a
hands.
very
You
long
gotta
time.
have the bag.
You gotta have the bag. And if you're in that space, remember, you are in that space. They get those very large salaries and they don't have to pay for anything. Right? They don't really pay for travel. They don't really pay for food.
Yeah,
Because,
yes, we talked about that. People picking them up,
yeah.
taking them to McDonald's.
Yes. And then you have lobbyists and you have special interest organizations
I don't like
that
this.
put money in their pockets. Everyone is getting paid. Do not be fooled.
And this is what
That's
you want to
crazy.
be a part of.
I want to make the road a little bit brighter.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, how do you and Mike get here today?
Yeah,
you
right.
want that
exactly.
bag though, right?
I do
Yeah,
want
who
that
dropped
bag.
I
y'all
feel
off
like
at the
that's
pregame?
just gonna be a part of it.
I want that bag.
If they're making
Absolutely.
good decisions,
By all means, get
That's
your
the
money.
thing.
I don't care how much money they get.
That's fair.
That's the
We're
yeah.
gonna get into that. And you just the wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at
Thank
you.
you.
Right.
Thank you for that.
I'm excited about this interview.
He
Mike?
got gang in the building.
Yeah, so my background goes
Speak-
back
you speak-
to my background goes back into students for Barack Obama. So when I was in my freshman year at IU, nobody was really knowing who Barack Obama was, and from there I got involved. Went to St. Louis, Iowa, Indianapolis, knocking on doors. Some people going, "Oh, he's a Democrat, I ain't gonna support him. I'm a Republican." Other people saying, "Nah, I'm voting for
That's what it was.
Hillary Clinton." Other people thinking about it, like Trace probably mentioned it from a race perspective. and other people also thinking that a black man couldn't be president at that time. So that's how I got involved. Did some stuff with the Indiana Democratic Party when I finished my time at IU, and I also did some student government politics. So I'm well versed in that. I know you all know that I was student body president, the 4th one in Indiana University's history.
Amazing.
So
I voted for
shout
you.
out to us.
So,
I was trying to get down, but I still was going to vote for you. I was going to pick me up or not.
Yeah, you were a paid vote.
Yeah, out the gate.
Yeah,
Who you vote for?
Coerced.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my background.
You don't have a camera.
I try to be
Don't need one.
I try to stay involved with different things in the community in Indianapolis. Of course, that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. So like you all said, like I'm involved with a lot of things, and this just happens to be one of them. So I'm here to support RaeVen today in this conversation.
That's what's up, man.
Thank
Round of
you.
applause for our guest, man. It's about to be a wild ride.
Oh, and then can I go a little bit? I want to go a little bit through my
Oh, go
resume.
ahead. Let them know.
So I helped write policy for our university, equity policy. I started with that as the president of the Black Student Union, and then helped
Better get rid
arrange
of that
the
shit.
President's Council, which is a council, I don't know if it's still there, but that allowed students who were leaders of minority organizations to be able to sit in with the president of the university.
Tight.
I did that. After that, I ran multiple campaigns for the Democratic Party. I am 10-0 undefeated in the campaign game. So I have
Wow.
retired. I
Okay.
no longer
Yeah.
run campaigns. I'm now an independent political consultant. I've launched my own company in which I do equity and policy on campaigns. I was the youngest executive director of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus for 3 years. And then I moved on to writing policy and being a public policy analyst for Planned Parenthood, covering 6 states across the nation, where I did that for more than a year in the
Wow.
thick of the reproductive justice fight.
I don't even know what to talk to you about because it's too much.
She
at this
does
point.
everything
Yeah,
when
nah,
it.
this
I guess
is-
that's
Because
crazy.
you said a lot, and I kept thinking things I want to
Yeah.
talk
this
about.
is, this is phenomenal.
Those are
Shout out
just
to
a
you.
few
That's
things.
that's amazing. Round of applause for
Thank
RaeVen
you.
again.
but yeah,
Thank you.
Mike, we love you. I'll never get 2 rounds of applause.
yeah.
You have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, nah. We
Okay.
just gonna keep it rolling, man.
Hey, we're
we'll
gonna
get
keep
to
it
it.
going.
We'll get to it in conversation.
For sure. We start off every single pregame podcast interview with the pregame podcast pop quiz. Gonna ask you all a flurry of questions. You do your best to answer. Who wants to get started?
What is
Go ahead.
a losing Democratic campaign that you feel like you could have turned around if you were on the team?
Maya.
Let's say presidential
and-
to make it easy, so we can all know what you're talking about.
Oh, I was okay. Yeah, because I was about to go into the New York mayoral race. I think I could have helped Maya turn things around. Honestly, I do think I could have helped Vice President Harris turn that campaign around, because there were some things and some real constituency issues that could have been solved with messaging and strategic communications. And that just was not done.
Okay. Thank you. I will. I guess the same question for.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Mike?
I think that's a tough one. Thinking of it from a presidential campaign standpoint, I think there were things I can speak on as a black man when Hillary Clinton was running against Donald Trump. There weren't a lot of black men, and as a black man, I wasn't as vocally supportive. So whether or not that would have changed things, or how my involvement would have been, how that could have shaped things out of this state, would have been interesting. But it could have been helpful to see a black man being supportive.
That's
Yeah.
that's real.
These are facts. Because Don
Sure.
got some niggas on this team.
He got some worker bees for sure.
And I think one thing we've neglected in politics is to involve the black men further. We've lost the connection with you all, and we got to bring that back. If not, then shenanigans are going to
Right.
continue.
For sure.
Shenanigans. I love that word.
It's one
So,
of my
Mike, you
favorites.
was there. Hillary wouldn't pull that hot sauce out her bag.
Yeah. You just stopped. Hey,
Yeah.
Now she
I feel
would.
like the hot sauce was real. She really
the hot
lives that
sauce
life.
was real, because when she was
bruh.
first
She wasn't
lady,
pandering. She really
Yeah,
from
that
the
was
South.
real.
Are you out of your mind?
No. When she was first lady,
really on
when
that.
they did a tour of the White House, she said that she collected bottles of hot sauce in the 90s.
Yeah, that was no pandering.
That's cool.
That was
She'd be
like
on
the
that.
thing.
I don't know.
Didn't
really liked
she
it.
bring a physical bottle of hot sauce with her?
She
'cause she
case
really
it
cares
everywhere
about
with her.
Everywhere she goes, keep
I
hot
believe
sauce
so.
on her.
Yes.
She got it right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I feel like there's a lot of bullshit that candidates do.
I agree.
I don't think that
Yeah,
was.
and I
one
can
of
tell
them.
you what's pandering.
I get it. I see why you're saying that.
Hillary just
Yeah.
keeps it on her.
I think she
Yeah, but-
stay strapped.
That's because I
Stay ready. You
do.
ain't got to get ready.
I do want to say, because of the patriarchy and misogyny, there are a lot of things y'all don't know about that woman. Like, why she wears pantsuits has nothing to do with hypermasculinity. It's because she was in a country and, like, they took a picture under her skirt. And so that became like front page news in another country.
Why they do that?
Right. And so like,
do you want to know why?
we know why they do it.
Tell you why
right?
they did it.
So like, I think that because of how the world is set up, I'm not saying she's the best person in the world because I don't.
Ray, what country is this?
I'm not gonna say the country because it happened in like the 90s though, right? But
Okay.
it's one of
They're
those
trying to see some
countries.
cauliflower. That's crazy.
And like they took a picture under her skirt and it was on all of the newspapers, and so she
Really?
was like, "I will never wear skirts again." But here in America, we don't like that. You know, she was like dark hair. She had thick Coke bottle glasses when
Very
she
much
first
Yeah,
married.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And then like they showed when he was running for office in Arkansas that they were polling terribly because of her look.
Wow.
So that's when she cut her hair and she got that bleach blonde and she started wearing contacts.
That's crazy.
Like it's a lot about politicians.
And being able to market the
Yeah, because you have to be marketable.
candidate.
Yeah, you
That's-
do.
All this is very scary. Let's
I mean, I don't know.
Well, we're gonna
You like
we're
not
gonna
feeling
get
it.
there.
You like not that it.
We're gonna get there.
I think the reason is great. I just don't know. You can always just,
Marketing.
wear a dress, I suppose, or something underneath your skirt.
Have some better security or something.
Not
But
thinking
that's just the
about
misogyny in me.
It might be.
Or she's like wearing pants. I don't know. Who knows?
Sicko
Yeah, that's why she
country.
wears pants.
Yeah.
But you
Just
know
because
she
they
was polling bad.
got one flick
Yeah, I
that one
believe it.
time, it's over.
Well, it's because it's too, the jokes just write themselves for her sometimes. She looks like Dr. Evil, and it's like, there it is. The memes write themselves. It's crazy. I have no beef for Hillary. I just, her campaign was
I don't like.
sketchy.
It
I
was
feel like you have
ran
some beef
differently.
with her.
Me?
Yeah, a little bit.
I ain't got no beef
So-
with her.
You should have some beef with her.
I voted for her. I voted for Hillary.
You should have some beef. No, like there, you should real.
No, I voted for Hillary. I'm not sure what the polls were saying, but I was in there.
Good job. That was your first time.
Pantsuit,
voting, right?
no, I voted for Barack the first time.
Okay.
Come on, I voted for
Yeah.
Rob. Congratulations, too.
We was in there. We was in
You
there.
had to.
I definitely did.
You were gang, but no, we was on campus. We was like boys in there crying when
It's
Barack
on,
won.
man.
That was my
Shout
very
out to
first
Barack.
election. Shout out to Barack.
Shout out to Rob.
Turned that bitch blue one time.
Yeah. And they keep bringing it up every chance they get.
Mm-hmm.
He flipped the club in Indiana.
And it ain't flipped back.
That's a double entendre for Mr. Obama today.
Yeah. Oh, he's a wild boy. No offense. So my pregame pop quiz question is: so let's say I've never voted, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit the other way. What is one sentence you would tell me to kind of rope me in?
Okay. Are you leaning that way because of feeling left out, or are you just leaning that way because of images?
Both.
Okay, well, I will say this one sentence. There is only one side right now that is actively fighting to erase your presence from history. Period.
These are facts.
I say that every single day. Right, and I say it every single
Hard to argue with that
I
one.
don't know if I'm changing your hearts and minds, but you are correct about that.
30, 40
My
years
opinion.
ago, we might talk different because it was conservatism. But right now, it's only one
Yeah,
side.
Racism.
They're on that for sure.
Big.
Yeah, they-
Because of Obama.
yes, and they still
They
trying to get
turned it
back.
up. Try to get it back in blood still.
Boy, they still trying to make it even worse.
They're trying to erase history all the way up to
It's
08.
crazy, man.
None of that shit happened.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
They trying to make slavery sound good, man.
Hey.
Yeah, they trying to.
They
make
want
it
you to
sound
put
like
on
it
your
was-
resume
It
the
was
skills
labor.
that have
It
trickled
was
down from slavery.
like skilled labor. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Putting
sugar on slavery
putting
is
parsley on his
crazy.
nuts.
It's trying to make the dehumanization of people sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the overarching
Yeah, it's
thing.
weird. It's weird.
I treat you terribly because you don't matter.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, I'm going to. All this is a good conversation. I'm going to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know you've been involved with theater for a long time. Who is your favorite actor and actress of all time, and why?
Oh, that's so difficult. Are we talking
Yeah.
stage? Are we talking
People we would know.
Film.
Do film.
Let's do film just so that we're good. I don't know why Ruff is laughing.
film? I would say Ruby Dee.
Ruby D.
I don't know her either.
That
her up.
was Ossie Davis's wife. She
Okay.
was in many a stage plays. She helped make Black Broadway what we know it today.
Okay, she's a historical
She
figure.
was also in Jungle Fever. Yeah,
Okay.
she was in Jungle Fever.
That
I
that
think
sounds
she was
familiar.
simply brilliant. That's my female.
Uh-huh.
I think my male. Oh, holy moly, don't I think it's gonna be Chadwick Boseman. I think he was simply
R.I.P.
brilliant. From the moment I saw him in 42, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it.
I'm trying to think of the first one I saw Chadwick. I think it was in James Brown for me.
Oh, it was amazing.
He was the
wasn't
biopic go-to for a while there.
He
They made him 3 or 4
Yeah,
different
they
niggas.
did it. Yeah, he was
was-
Thurgood Marshall too.
it? He was
That
Thurgood.
Thurgood Marshall movie was
good.
terrible.
Yeah.
Though.
I wasn't mad at Thurgood Marshall.
It wasn't about Thurgood Marshall.
It wasn't about Thurgood. It was about that white man.
Jewish lawyer.
It was about the
whole time.
I'm sorry, you're the Jewish.
Well, it was made by the film industry, so you know.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I want the real Thurgood Marshall. Like, do a real one.
Run it back.
You want to see him become Supreme Court justice and all that.
Yeah, just like
they didn't get to that point in the movie.
The Thurgood Marshall, please run it back. Do something different. I want to see Harlem going crazy. I was looking for that energy because that's what Thurgood was moving and shaking. Him going to these places of pure evil.
Absolutely.
And winning cases.
Oh, brother.
I would have liked to see
running away from those people after
agree.
he was like, that's Thurgood. Thurgood is legit American hero.
And I would have liked to see the first African American federal female judge, Constance Baker Motley, who was a clerk for him.
Yes.
I wanted to see a little bit of
Come
that.
on.
Too.
The alphas and the K's were making that happen.
You got to say all the letters. My O is like all the letters.
I always thought it was weird calling y'all K's personally too. I get it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful.
No, I don't take it disrespectfully. I'm always like, yeah, look.
Fix that.
Got you.
Say the whole thing.
Fix that, brother.
Excuse me.
Indeed, I'll fix that.
Yeah. It's all love though. Without us, there would be not a lot of things.
For sure.
They trying to get us canceled the other way.
That's round of applause. That's the
We
end
just
of the
canceled.
Hold on, wait. Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Actress, actor, who you got?
Oh my goodness, man! I was hoping you skipped me for this one. Actor of all time, man. I'm gonna keep it safe. I'm gonna go with Denzel.
It's a safe bet for sure.
That's a safe bet. You can go with Glory. You go with Training Day. He even got some sleepers.
Pelican
Book of
Brief.
Eli. Yeah,
Eli fire, man.
He got 2 train movies.
Yeah.
And 2 time travel movies.
Yeah. It's
He
like,
the equalizer.
He's got 3 equalizers.
He got 3 equalizers.
And the one that just came out
Yeah.
it's the number 2 movie of all time for a Labor Day rollout. Like,
Really?
We're gonna talk about a silent
I missed that
hustle.
one.
I'm like, what?
I'm not saying I wasn't watching no more equalizers.
Yeah,
I ain't watching the show. I'm not watching 2. I'm not watching 3.
Thought you gonna do dating
Keep it,
like
Denzel.
that.
And he
Keep
put his
it.
son on too, which is crazy too.
This sounds a good
He
actor.
did.
And he owns the August Wilson catalog. So he owns the August Wilson entire catalog so that nobody can do shenanigans with it.
Wow.
So like Ma Rainey's Big Fat Bottom. I'm hoping to get a 7 Guitars movie. Fences. Like he owns
So he owns a lot of Black Broadway.
He owns August Wilson's entire catalog intentionally.
Wow, thank you, Denzel. Appreciate you.
Man,
Shout out to Denzel.
love that
Sure.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
shout
he
out to protecting
fine.
us.
Been fine my whole life. I just wanted to say that.
Understood.
Facts.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
He's
next.
handsome.
Yeah, he's an handsome guy.
All right, let's round of applause.
I'm okay
round
with
of
saying
applause
that.
for RaeVen and Mike here. For sure, we gotta say that Thurgood Marshall movie. We got to. Figure it out.
Could you? We slightly skipped it. Where they can't find you on like Instagram.
Oh, that's important,
Twitter,
yes.
all that good stuff.
Social
What
media.
are the handles?
So RaeVen Taylor on Instagram and RaeVen Ridgell on Facebook. On TikTok, it's politics with a K, the Ray way.
You funny.
I know, right? It's
Y'all find a
everything.
way.
It's everything.
It's crazy.
It's really so I can trademark things.
I'm gonna
That's fair.
stop saying K's. I really got me thinking like, dang.
I've never really been
whole
about
time.
it like that.
Yeah.
All right,
Fam,
I'm gonna do better.
AKA,
Yeah.
Soror, whatever you want to go. I just
For sure.
K's for like.
Indeed. Mike.
Sir Michael Rocks. Best way to find me. Instagram. If you want to get at me on Facebook, Mike Coleman. Twitter, I don't be on there as much.
Yeah.
Threads, the same thing.
Yeah.
Social media legend. For sure. Let's move on, man. Let's get into interview. Next. We ready?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, man, I just want to, I really want to get into it quickly here.
Yeah.
I know that we have elections coming up, and I feel like civic engagement has not been where it needs to be
Absolutely not.
within the pandemic and just with the thought process. I feel like the more access that we have to information, the more people say, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading this, I'm reading that. I don't believe you anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm on Twitter and I follow this person and I'm on TikTok and they're saying this. So how do we combat that and then continue to bring younger people out to the polls?
That is a question that we have had for a very long time because misinformation has been like a wildfire because of the access to social media. And so I say 2 things. I say fact check your sources, right? Make sure that who you're following you follow both sides. I want to say that, right? Because I watch all news outlets so that I'm best prepared for any conversation.
Yeah, I avidly do the channel switch. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I want to see what they all talking about.
Yeah, you got to see that. And then you have to make sure that your sources and that the individuals that you support and that you follow, think about their role in this space. Are they an agitator? Are they an entertainer? Right? Because a lot of what we're seeing right now is political theater. Right, it's whatever gets the most clicks, whatever gets the most likes or attention, and we're gonna see worse of that because right now, if y'all don't notice, we're on a actors and writer strike. So most of our shows are not gonna be around, which means we're gonna have an uptake in reality TV, which means that anybody running for any campaign is gonna have to get airtime, and in order to do that, they're gonna have to be wild.
Act a fool.
They're gonna have to act a fool.
That's why they keep bombarding us with Krishan Rock and Krishan Rock Jr.
I hate them.
It's ridiculous, but it makes a lot of sense. Thank you for saying that.
Right? It's because
crazy.
That's what matters right now. And so when I'm talking to young people, because we also have to be crystal cut clear in our county right now, I think the mayor said the other day, thanks to a recent poll, we know that like 70% of the vote here is 50 and above.
Really?
We staying at home.
We are staying
on 2K.
at home. And I don't know about you. I don't want somebody else making all the decisions for me, especially when it comes to politics right now. Because when we talk about money, when we talk about equity, when we talk about what the conversation is going to be, I need to be at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're for sure on the menu. And we're seeing that with the anti-reproductive justice legislation. We are
which is just preserving white supremacy, right? For those that don't know, that's what's happening. So all that abortion law stuff is preserving white babies.
You see,
that's what they're trying to do,
and creating a group of individuals who are impoverished.
That too,
right? Because when Black women are forced to have children, they have some terrible poverty rates, right? Or we die, which also creates poverty and trauma. So it's a terrible chain of events. But I like to tell people our age, we cannot have these individuals making all the decisions for us. We have to get out there. And I know it seems tiresome. I know that many people don't have access, but that's where people like Mike and I come in, because we are in these streets. I am everywhere.
Does it feel contradictory at all to not want the older generation to make decisions for us, but we're forced to essentially just vote for the older generation as far as the candidates go?
It only feels contradictory when I feel like we're not involved. Does that make sense? If I feel like we were voting and always in the conversation, then that's a different route we have to take. But we're not even in the conversation right now.
I just feel like a lot of people at this point are getting tired of like the old guard. We keep looking at the old guard over and over and over.
And they're legit freezing.
Yeah, they're dying in front of us.
Listen, and I like to tell folks. So I'm a football girly. I'm not good at basketball, so I can't give you basketball references. But I like to think of politics like a draft, right? Everybody expects to win a championship after you had that first round. But no, there's a reason it's like 60-something, 70-something rounds in the draft, right? You have to go back and you got to get your wide receiver. You got to get your edge. You got to get your center. You got to build your team. And what happens if that team is not good? They don't make it past training camp, right? And so you have to keep going back and you have to keep building your team, and also recognize that sometimes your team is not going to win that first season.
I'm in that seat.
Right, but you there? you there? You feel seen, yeah. But it's important to know that, because legislation and policy also takes years to write, to craft. But you can go up to those county buildings, you can go up to those legislature buildings, and you can tell your legislator what you want. You can help write that policy with them, right?
I feel like, to me, I'm with you 100%, but I feel like so much of the information we don't even have access to.
We don't, intentionally.
Yeah,
so sure. How do I seek that? If I'm listening to this interview right now and I'm like, okay, I do want to become more engaged. I do want to help and make change and change things for the better for my community. What should I do? What should I seek out? How can I get involved?
So I always offer myself as a resource, not because I'm the end all be all, but because I recognize that I'm more approachable than a lot of people, right? I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna give it to you crystal cut clear. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna BS you. I'm going to have this conversation with you, good, bad, or indifferent. Then I also recommend people to read a few books, right? Damn. I know I give people book lists. People hate it. People hate the book list. Damn it! But I think
that his homework.
No, people hate it.
Crazy.
Or you could just ask me for the Cliff Notes. Yeah,
Golly.
you could do the Audible, or you could ask me for the Cliff Notes. But I recommend a few books, and I also recommend like going to iga.in.gov, which is the General Assembly. .gov, or going to indy.gov, which is the city, and learning who your advocates are, right? Learning who they are, and then looking at their record, because their records are all published online. So you can look at the kind of laws they are passing. You can look at their voting records, right? You can look at what they support, what they didn't support, what they told you they were going to support when they were on the campaign trail, but they not doing that. And you can go to them and say, hey, so you said you was going to do X, Y, and Z.
Right. I
see nothing of the sort.
You get snapped, dragged out of the building.
No. You go down there. They can't do that, right? Because it's freedom of speech. Recognize that they're only gonna throw you out if you're like hitting people.
Got you.
Because I've seen some terrible things happen.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, like
please,
I've seen
get
some
your shit
terrible
off.
things happen. But they've got to allow you to speak. And at the very least, even if you feel disconnected, bring a group of people up there with you. Right? Have that conversation. But I know, because people don't know about it, these conversations aren't being had. But let's be clear. The reason that we are having the conversation about critical race theory in this state is because a bunch of white mothers in Noblesville were calling the legislature. I can be transparent about that. They were calling daily.
They had free time. Good for them.
They had free time. Sure. Right, but they were calling and saying, my child is feeling bad because of X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. But they were doing that. And so
they were doing the work.
And I hate it, because clearly the work is accessible for them because of racism and supremacy. Yep. But that's why I say there are people like me and Mike in these spaces intentionally, right? So don't be afraid to utilize us as resources.
No, that's real.
I have a suggestion real quick.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think the first step is getting involved with your city politics.
Okay.
I think it's an advantage that Indianapolis is also a county. And so since we're a county, it's easier to access certain things as opposed to other cities where you're in like a big county and it's like 3 cities part of that county. With Indianapolis, people need to understand that the mayor is like the president of the city. That's the best way to look at it, as the executive branch. Yes. He's going to set how a lot of social services spending are going, along with the city council. Yeah. But then he also guides like workforce development stuff, different things, committees, things that you don't think about. So if you can understand and get involved with that, from there you can go to get involved with like state politics and different things of that nature. But that's another beast, because you need to understand that we live in a red state. Yeah. And so when it comes to making change with the state, it's easier to do it in Indianapolis because we're liberal. Or if you're in Northwest Indiana, it's a little bit more liberal. Some pockets of Northeast and South,
219,
like Evansville, like there's a little bit more liberal there. But everywhere else, it's conservative. So when decisions are made in the city of Indianapolis, where we say we're going to put up signs where you can't turn right on red anymore.
Yeah, because of pedestrian accidents.
Because people are getting hit. But the state says, nah, that goes against state laws. Those signs went down for a little bit. But then people protested against that, and then now those signs are back up.
I hate those signs.
Yeah,
it sucks, but people get hit.
That's fair. I don't want to get hit by a car, but I hate that
and you
sign.
don't want to be the person hit somebody paying the bill.
I don't.
Sometimes there's no cars coming.
Yeah, that's real. If you out late, there's no car. There's none.
Question though, so not to derail too much. It feels like, and this is just based upon my viewing of like television. Does it seem like Hogsett in more of a battle this go round than he is normally? Like the one dude with the scary face is on his heels.
I almost called him what we call him behind the scenes.
Then they're talking
the Jefferson.
I had to catch myself.
Jefferson something. Shreve.
So keep in mind, he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire because, like the self-storage facilities. The orange, I believe they're orange, the self-storage facilities. He owns those.
Oh, wow.
Well, he started those, and then
good for him.
He sold his shares and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's out here.
So he's very wealthy. And so you're able to see more of him. But do not be fooled because we have a saying in politics: if you're targeting everyone, you're targeting no one. But that's why it's important to educate. So when I say like IGA or Indy.gov, that is so important to know the structure of government. And we have to do that educating. I live off the 3 E's: education, empowerment, and engagement. That's my job to do that.
We had 3 E's at one point. Or was it 3 I's? What was it? Yeah.
I missed it.
Inside joke. Yeah,
Dang it.
we had 3 E's too, but he kept turning one E into an I.
That bring the
EI,
bold stuff
EI.
out.
And you gotta have a mission
Turn
followed.
around.
He was old McDonald.
But I believe in the education, the engagement, and the empowerment. That education is such a big thing because we are not getting it in schools. There was an article that came out that said, if I'm not mistaken, 1 in 5 of our students won't be able to read when they reach 3rd grade. So we know you're not going to get these things in school. So we have to do that educating at home or in the streets or in these things, which is why Mike said it's important to know your local government. But I think that it seems like he's in a fight, but if we continue to do this education and this engagement work, I think things will be fine. But also recognize that there are enough people registered in Marion County to actually turn this state blue. We just have such a, I can say, piss poor.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
been
such a
noticed.
piss
We've
poor
seen it
turnout
We've seen it before.
that it's just not happening. But
So can you, because that's concerning to me.
Yeah.
To hear, and I think I'll be honest. I'm not. I feel very strongly about fighting against the evil, which in my opinion is the other party that's not represented here today. And I feel like it's just very much in our face. It's very much of a monster.
It is a monster.
In my personal life, as I read, I get angry and things of that nature. But I'll be honest, I'm not as engaged and active as I should be. And I think there's also that understanding of like, okay, if I push, do all this work, I won't see change. Or, on one here, I do know the Democratic Party's doing this, but then you heard about somebody doing that, make you go, ew, why are they doing that? And so it's just kind of this back and forth of like, do I trust? How much do I trust? And it feels though it kind of politics for some people feels like it leads you to nowhere. And so, I know you kind of be able to talk about this, but I feel like this is the reality situation that we're in.
it is. It very much is.
And so what do you say to an individual who's like, I don't like the government, it's not working, it's not doing anything for me, I don't see any change, and blah.
Why do you feel like that's only on this side, not the other side as much? Or is it that not the case?
Rephrase your question. So
I feel
make
as
sure I heard you
if
correctly.
Republicans don't, like, they're obviously trying to get people out to vote, but I feel like on the Democratic side, you get a lot more of that sentiment than you would on the other side. Is it because of how they kind of campaign to their people or speak to their people?
They're a party of get in line, period. They've always been, they will always be. And so we are a party of diverse thought.
Do what you want to do, bro.
Yeah, diverse thinking. You can be you. But I also think, if I'm being transparent, we do some things internally that are to our detriment that we don't recognize. And I think that it causes dissension between us, specifically the marginalized communities and the non-POC.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think we don't talk enough about that. But I tell people, if you feel disconnected, if you feel severed, there is nothing stopping you from finding a candidate or finding someone you support and helping them run. Right? Helping them knock doors, helping them phone bank. Everyone always asks me why I haven't run for office. Do you know that it takes on average a black woman 8 to 9 times you have to ask her to run before she actually runs because she feels unqualified?
That's unfortunate.
Right? And it's also more difficult for her to fundraise. Like, I'm talking, we are raising 3 times less than our counterparts across the board. And it's because we don't have enough in-community individuals supporting us in this space as well. And so I tell people, find you someone you do support and hold them accountable from start to finish.
Do you think it's tougher for people who lean Democrat to, like, I sometimes see it. I see it this way sometimes. Like, it's tougher for people who lean blue to, like, get behind the people on that side. I feel like when you look at like Republicans, they have people that are like rock star. These people who say one little tidbit and people are in.
Yeah,
you have like Nikki Haley, DeSantis, what's his name? Vivek. I don't know his name.
Ramaswamy.
Yeah. It's like they get on TV and say like just one little thing and people be all in.
And that's what I mean. I feel like there's not a pregame there's not an alternate universe where there's a pregame podcast in Carmel where there's there's not the young president of the young Republicans trying to convince 30-year-old white dudes to go vote.
I know. But it's like we don't.
They willed it.
We're not doing it. The blue side doesn't have like these people are like superstars to the people that are voting for them. People saw Donald Trump. He came out one time, did the little shit.
That's how Barack
they were locked in.
Barack was a superstar.
Yes, but since then,
have not had one.
It's like why is the blue side lacking in that?
I just feel like the right side is able to pander to white America with all pandering on their fear, what they feel is happening. They continue to key in on it, and so they just they're like, ooh, it's been there from the beginning of time, and I think that's just it's low hanging fruit that they continue to grab at.
What was the I'm sorry, not to cut you. What was the emotion used when her sentence was, "There's only one party trying to erase your history"? What was that emotion?
I said I'm with that.
I know, but what was the sentiment?
It was fear.
What were you trying to evoke?
Fear.
When she said that to me,
it was fear.
What's the truth though?
Yeah. I mean, I get. I'm saying, but it's the same tactics, just different results.
But I'm also like, I know that I'm targeted every day.
But
Billy is not being targeted.
Missing my point.
Yeah, because that's how the other people feel. They're coming to take all the jobs. They really be feeling like that.
Yeah.
They really feel how.
But I think it is rooted in what you just said because we are targeted every day. Mm-hmm. So this is nothing new to us. We're desensitized. Mm-hmm. And so the threat is present, but it's also like, yeah, bro, but like we starving. Like my
I got bigger issues.
Cousin got shot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like this is not important to me. And
I mean, there's that of it. Yeah. Okay.
My bad, Mike. You had a point.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Conservatism is the norm. So when you go against the norm, that's when people are fired up, like trying to take our guns away. Like that's always what's said. And in the past it was jobs, like coming back from World War II. So when it comes to liberal sides, when they say like, hey, we're gonna a change you can believe in, that's like, hey, what's that change? Like the
changing what?
The conservatives are like, what you trying to change?
Right.
And then that fires them up. But then it also can fire up and galvanize the liberal side. Like, hey, there's changes that do need to be made. But changes don't occur instantaneously.
Surely don't.
It takes time.
We ain't trying to change your life, old white man. You be going for this change coming.
I give you an example. When I was student body president, we got a fall break passed by the Bloomington Faculty Council. I never saw that fall break.
Me neither.
I left. I was out.
Do we see it?
And I never saw it because it didn't go into effect until 2 years later.
Yeah.
And it just
was there.
Yeah.
I called
it was a week long. It was a week long Thanksgiving that we got. And we got like some random day off in October, but we had to start school a week earlier. So that's just an example of even school politics where
policy taking a while.
A policy taking a while. So when you're looking at it from like hope and change, you got to think like, hey, it has to go through Congress or it has to be figured out how it's going to be implemented before it goes down to everybody. It's not just going to be instantaneous. And sometimes for conservatives, it's instantaneous. Yeah. And we see that with Supreme Court decisions because it's a conservative.
This shit do be seeming fast. Like,
but
damn, they already got that passed?
Wait, I want to say two things. One, everybody loves Obama. And everyone knows that Obama is an orator, one of the greatest in American history. Yep. Obama spent years practicing at black churches in Chicago. Like he would go to the church with a notepad and he would be like, he would practice different sentences and see how the crowd reacted for years. For years, right? And so that's one thing I have to say because we think that it does happen overnight. And also, make no mistake, what we are seeing with the Supreme Court is something that McConnell set into place when I was born in 93. Like these, I mean, like this these decisions have been, the road has been 30 years. Does that make sense? It seems like it just happened. No, things just had to fall into place at the right time for us to get here because Supreme Court justices serve for a lifetime, right? So that means in order for me to get, like experts predict that we won't have the constitutional right to abortion for another 10 years now because we have to wait for some
That's
people
how
to
long the
die.
cycle's gonna go. Got you.
Right. We have to wait for some people to die to and then we
Crazy,
have to
man.
bring people through the system.
Oh.
Right? You got to bring them through. You got to clerk.
put them through training
You got to
camp.
come. Yeah, you got to
the
go
wheels
through
of
all of
justice
those
turn
things.
slow, don't they?
Turn
You got to keep them out
Oh
of
my
scandals and
gosh.
shit.
You got to keep them
my
out
gotta
of
be good
scandals.
people.
Tallahassee. Yeah.
Boy. Because he really had an opportunity to be in a presidential race.
He sure did.
He sure
but
did.
Chose a hotel instead.
But yeah, he
Oh,
took that.
that was some
Yeah, for sure.
And
took that
freaky
perky.
frog.
And the reason that is such an issue is because we are not fond of emotionally dishonest people, even if they are factually dishonest. That's why Trump is appealing, because he's factually dishonest but emotionally very honest. He's very authentic in the things that he says and in things that he does.
That's fair.
We are not fond of that at all, because whether people like her or not, you cannot deny that Hillary Clinton was pretty much factually honest and emotionally very dishonest. She was a wall,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Everything felt insincere because she was such a wall.
Snooze fest.
Snooze
For
fest.
sure.
But people don't talk. She sat through that congressional hearing. Was it like 18 hours? She sat and didn't break a sweat. Answered every question.
Android.
She's an Android. It's not real, fake news. But
AI.
right, like, so that shows that the main talking point that this individual used had no warrant. It had no merit. But because he was so authentically himself, people rocked with it.
I loved it. Oh,
That's a
they
great
was
point,
eating that
RaeVen.
shit up.
Can you just, give us some insight? What does a campaign? What are some keys that if you looking? Okay, that's a good campaign. How do I know? Okay, this right here, that's a great campaign. This individual is probably going to win.
Can I give a shameless plug to one of my good friends, sisters, and mentors, Senator Andrea Hunley?
We're trying to get her in here.
Yeah, she's on the list.
She's for sure.
By all means, use some text for us too. We can
I
text
was like, I'll
yeah.
circle
from
around.
multiple angles.
I'll circle around.
I saw her at Butter. I was like, bet.
She was someone who was in her community. So we're looking for a candidate that's been around, that can have individuals attest for their character and their dedication to community and community engagement outside of election cycles, right? Because in the Ballot of the Bullet, Malcolm told y'all, be aware the folk who only come around when they need your vote, right? Everybody only remembers by any means necessary, but that speech was about voting. It was called the Ballot or the Bullet. And so someone who's been around, someone who's authentic, someone who can be verified, right? You can feel when someone is insincere in your presence. And I'm a firm believer that everybody can't be telling the same lie. So if you have friends who are like, that's not working, that's one red flag. A green flag is someone who is versed in their advocacy. You do not have to be versed in common sense gun legislation, because there are assistants. We do those research. I was an assistant, right? We do those we do that research.
But
We
the
do
things
those
you
talking
care
points.
about, you should be able to spit your lick.
But you should be able to spit your life. Someone who is unafraid to be corrected, right? That's a great candidate. Someone who's not afraid to get out there and knock doors for themselves. Deb Whitfield in Lawrence, I talked to her the other day. She said they've already knocked 7,000 doors from the primary. So from June to now, she herself has hit 7,000 doors. She ain't sent nobody else to do it. She's done it. She's made the
Getting them
phone
steps in.
calls. She's been willing to take that chance, that opportunity. So someone's authentic, someone who's been in the community, someone who is likable and able to fundraise. That's the hardest thing. But let me tell you right
I'm gonna
now,
go yell at my children here. You can keep talking.
like, that's the hardest thing, right? Get that money. I'm unafraid to call somebody and say, look, I see that you donated in the past. Which credit card will we be using today? Right? So someone who can do that fundraising and make that ask, someone who is versed in what they are trying to achieve, and someone who shows signs of the ability to mentor and collaborate. So that's what I'm looking for in a candidate. And then, because if they are that as a candidate, everything else will fall into place. Andrea's campaign was super successful because she had people willing to vouch for her on social media. Her Instagram was popping, but a lot of her Instagram was like her cooking in her kitchen or her having a friend saying, I miss Senator Huntley and I know that she does X, Y, and Z. And then she had like neighborhood captains. She had people who knew her and were willing to run their entire neighborhood for her. Right, like they were willing to do that, but that's because she was invested in the community and people were invested in her. Everything will fall into place if the candidate does the community work. In my opinion,
that was a phenomenal answer.
It was.
You described someone who is that sounds like somebody I definitely want to get behind and vote for.
Right.
I've seen campaigns where it works in the reverse too, though. Like you could have a great candidate, but they lose out. And it could be because of lack of engagement of voters. I just worked a campaign, and Matt Impink was his name. He's a former history teacher, and he also teaches at IUPUI, and then he also worked for an organization known as Employee Indy, where he came up with an idea for scholars at IUPUI to get like funds to go back to school if they had a bursar bill. You get a couple $1,000s. They'll pay off. They have fun scholarships for them throughout that program, and so he ran that out of the mayor's office as well and worked for the chamber, but he lost by 76 votes.
Wow, that's brutal, man.
That happens.
And he was a challenger to an incumbent, but I think he had a successful campaign overall because he had young people, middle-aged people, older people out there, and they all looked different, and they all weren't particularly from his neighborhood knocking on doors for him. And so I think that was
76 votes
to put together.
Tough.
But they invested in him. That happens quite often. Victoria Garcia Wilburn helped flip her seat, which part of her seat is in Carmel. It's in Hamilton County, if I'm not mistaken, by
tough.
like a couple dozen votes. And that was after the recount. We had to recount it to verify.
Got it.
Because she lost. I think she lost in the first one, but once we recounted, we were able to see, no, here were these few votes.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you both for that. I definitely have some better insight as I get older and look for particular candidates I want to support. What are some things that we should be wary of by not voting this election? What are some some things on the docket that we may not know because we're not looking for them or we're not necessarily reading the paper right now?
Y'all want me to be crystal cut clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you are seeing across the nation is a coordinated attack on the blue cities. We saw it with the Justins being removed. We saw it with State Attorney Monique Worwell being fired by DeSantis. She's a prosecutor in Orlando. She was elected by like 67% of the vote. He fired her and walked her out with snipers on the roof.
Wow.
Because he said she was not incarcerating enough people. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. We're seeing a coordinated attack on blue cities in red states because those are the last strongholds and those are traditionally the metropolitan spaces with economic development and opportunity for growth.
This is really creeping me out.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's a long game. It's a long game. You can look and you can see the trends. If we don't vote, we are at risk of losing our last blue stronghold in this state. Like, let's just be clear. Lake County is purple, right? What we used to rely on as one of the bluest places in the country, the space that helped elect the first African-American mayor of a major U.S. city, Mayor Richard Hatcher, is now purple and leaning more towards red.
Wow.
Is that like a population thing? Like, I feel like people abandon Gary.
It's a
like,
combination of a few things. Chicago's so blue that it's pushed the Republicans this way, but also the traditionally neglected communities, right? Feeling like, oh, we got them because they're Black or Latin. No, we don't. We have to continue to do the necessary work so that they feel like they are not just a vote or just a number.
Now, those leaders up there, are they leaders, Black and brown leaders that are on the other side?
Locally, like you have Senator Eddie Melton. Everybody knows Eddie Melton. He's so dang on cool. Senator Lonnie Randolph, Representative Reagan Hatcher, who she's the daughter of Mayor Hatcher, and so many others. They are fantastic, but a part of the issue is just the dwindling population of individuals voting, right? People are just not voting like they used to. And so it's a combination of things that's flipping that. But what we have, it's so tough for us here, right? Because I'm the president of the Marion County Young Democrats, which is one of the largest chapters in the country, the largest in the state. If we don't have our age get out, we are in trouble, right? And it's worrisome. It's worrisome because I know we're so close. If we just get people, we can flip the state, right? But people are so severed and so disconnected. They're not going for it, right? There are many people who are in distrust. They are distrusting the process, and I understand. However, I'm a both and, not an and or. We still got to do what we can. Yeah. So we are at risk of losing this space, and if we lose this space, you can forget the fact that we don't talk enough about the fact that Prosecutor Mears said, I will not prosecute low-level marijuana offenses. I will not prosecute women who are seeking abortion. And the state legislature filed legislation against him. Like, they created bills to take him out. Because of our relaxed landlord laws, Hogsett created policy that would be in favor of the tenants. The state vetoed that. Right? That's why our eviction rates are the way they are. The state said no. So imagine if we didn't have this space and the opportunity to even do that. What's going to happen to us? Because when people like Shreve say, I'm going to be tough on crime, you know what I hear?
Oh, man. That freaks me out every time he says it.
Yeah.
That's one of his talking points.
It is a talking point. That's his commercial.
I hear that shiny new criminal justice center is going to be filled with people that look like us.
I hear I can't drive at night no more.
Right?
That's what I hear.
I was there today. It's nice. It's crazy.
Where's it at?
It's on southeastern.
Yeah, south.
Yeah, I had jury.
They got a McDonald's out there?
Keep my
distance. I didn't see a McDonald's.
Jail make my skin itch.
But it also is indicative of thinking about it from the perspective of if we don't vote, like, of course, who takes office? I mean, it could be the other party. It could be Jefferson Shreve who's saying these things. But you also have to think about, like, how we're at the space where Jefferson Shreve is saying, like, crime is so high in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Why is crime high? Well, during COVID, our state legislature said, you know what? We don't need to have firearm licenses anymore for anybody. So everybody can just get a firearm without a license legally. And then you look at domestic violence issues, you can look at it across multiple states that have increased, that have involvement of guns. And if you track them for states that have suspended registry of having a firearm license, you'll see that they're pretty high. They're very high. And it's a reason why. It's because now everybody can have an access to it.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about gun legislation a lot, and there's a lot to go into that. It's very layered. Some states are looking at it to be 21 as opposed to 18.
18 is wild.
And other ones are looking at it from, like, you got to do a mental capacity check and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I need that.
But
is 18 wild if I can go get a gun in another country and fight for you, but I can't get one at home?
That's fair. That's also fair to say.
But also,
I'm not a gun advocate. That's an easy rebuttal.
But what country are we talking about? Because there's some countries that suspend certain firearms that we have here.
Yeah.
They
If I was 17 and joined the military, I could have that thing in 6 months.
I think we have
So, I don't know.
But
we've really allowed the other side to take control of this conversation to the point that the misinformation is all that you know about. Like, first of all, I do want to say, as a individual who's read the Constitution more than once, there are a few things that are wrong.
Hey, shout out to you, RaeVen.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that out loud.
Yeah, you can't
telling them that.
Or the Constitution, please come get you.
Look, a few things that I see talking points, like everybody talks about the Second Amendment. You know, that's like arms against the militia in wartime.
It says a trained militia.
A trained militia, like during wartime. Like not.
That's not what it was about.
That's nobody's trying to take your guns.
Not even that.
RaeVen,
if you have a firearm, who is trained in using a firearm?
Yeah.
Who is training you? You gotta go through driver's ed to get a driver's license.
Yeah.
You ain't got to do that to get a firearm,
which is crazy.
Michael, you preaching? You were legit.
Just have to
preaching to me.
That is it.
But that misinformation.
You don't have to do the background check anymore.
To purchase one, you do.
Oh yes, okay.
like
if it's from a
Yeah.
locally
Yeah.
vendor, a local vendor,
Yes.
yes, a vendor.
But people go to the
You
gun
can
shows.
people
all
go
the
to the
time.
gun show.
People go to the
gun show.
Walk out with that.
People come from out of state just to go to our gun shows. There have been in the uniform
Shout out to
crime
Commerce.
report, people are checking and they're tracing the serial gun numbers back to Indiana.
I bet.
We just
But
need
you can't
more.
trace them back
This
to a
is scary
person
stuff, man.
because
trace
we
them to a
Circle
don't
City
track them
Choppers.
federally.
It's crazy.
We don't
It's
track
crazy.
firearms federally.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but like the misinformation has people thinking like I'm trying to stop you from protecting your family. I'm not.
not it.
No way.
I'm not. I'm just trying to make sure. That's why we call it. That's why we get away from inflammatory language. Notice not once have you heard me say pro-choice. No, it's the constitutional right to abortion because pro-choice it can be inflammatory. It can be inflammatory. 2, we don't always say gun rights. We say common sense gun legislation. See, you hear that term? It's different.
Gun law sounds
Common
Yeah,
sense.
they get riled up off that.
Right, like you hear but that's messaging that we have to be strategic about because the other side has completely spread misinformation, like it's radicalized things that we all want. We all want to be safe, right? My mama was like, look, it's Rev out here, so we got you we got that thing for you, and you know what, if it make you feel better, it's pink. If it make you feel better, I was like, okay.
I think it's important. I think that a lot of people don't agree with it. I think that, we as black people, I feel like that a lot of times we should be armed and we should be trained in that. But I don't think it should be an issue with like going through the proper channels and having a mental health test. I don't think that's crazy.
I'll be saying that you don't be feeling me.
Well, you usually it's a layered argument, like Mike said.
Yeah, it's very
I
layered.
think we talk about. I don't know. It don't matter.
No, please say.
I'm okay. No, you said take all guns away and then all this bad stuff will stop happening. That's kind of how you come off.
Q.
Oh.
Both
ends.
Yeah, there's a process to think about with that.
Because I wouldn't have, someone who's purchased a gun, where my background check every time takes a little bit longer than the white man's. I've noticed. I wouldn't mind having to do a mental health check or a question that wouldn't bother
Ask me.
me.
If I'm crazy.
Put that on me.
That's all I've been.
That wouldn't bother me,
man. Thank you. I'm with it.
I feel,
That's not all you've been asking for.
But
That's okay because y'all cousins, y'all love each other.
I want us to also think about the fact that as black people, because we've often been reprimanded for not following the rules or for following the rules and still being harmed, we're more inclined to follow the steps. Right.
I'm a rule
there is
follower.
an entire population of people that have been entitled their whole
To not have to
lives
follow rules.
that they're never told. I've sat in spaces with white legislators who didn't know anything about the political process. I'm sitting over here telling him this how you file a bill. This what it's supposed to say.
Can't just,
this part of the
get it through for
Indiana
me?
code.
one of
This
the
what we
luxuries of
supposed to
being
do.
white, though, they
See
don't have
people
to
in
know
TSA, man.
I-
They just trying to get you go through like, hey, you gotta take your watch off. I gotta take this off. The thing is going off. Just go through the line.
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to catch my flight too.
It's tough. It's tough.
Meanwhile,
I imagine it's a magnificent.
Some of them TSA agents are mean, though.
I hate their lives.
They are, but
some
they
are.
tough, tough
some
job.
are security.
Tough
Some
job.
are, but you gonna
yeah,
argue.
they are secure. I want them to be.
I'm not.
Yeah, this dude argue.
But I get why someone might.
Well,
Because some
I'll tell
people
you
are
right
rude.
now, the Baltimore
watch.
TSA during Labor Day, they didn't want to be at work. Dude had an AirPod in.
I know that drives you up the wall.
If there was a time to do anything crazy,
Hey,
go
don't
to
put
the
that on wax.
Baltimore
Don't put that on
airport.
wax.
This is being
Do not
recorded.
put that on wax.
I'm just saying, they not doing anything.
Don't put that on wax.
We was in there working for them.
We just
you know,
going.
You know how your bag's on the belt, little conveyor belt, and they're supposed to roll it down. This dude so caught up in whatever he was listening to.
I actually push my own bag. You don't push your bag through?
No, I mean,
With you, white man.
No,
I usually push mine up into the thing.
that young man was
I
wild.
push my.
They were all wild.
You got to push yours all the way through the conveyor belt.
I try to be nice because I always give the random searches.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm one of the few people who I go to the airport pretty.
Yeah, I felt the back of people's hands a couple times more than I
I'll be
want
like-
to. They
You go ahead and step to the side.
I be like, for real?
Okay.
for real?
Yep. Do you feel, this is like redirecting, do you feel like trapped by the two-party system? I do sometimes
You wanna answer?
as a person.
You want to answer? Yes. 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 I wish we could just vote for people.
I want to ask everybody that comes through here about political. Like, do you got to feel trapped by it a little bit?
I wish we could just vote for people.
Not in the ways people would think I will. I do.
Expound.
Does that make sense? I want to see my community more engaged. And as a student of history, I recognize that there is one side that was absolutely the side of Lincoln. And the side of freeing and abolition, but that was rooted in economic development. But I get that, right? Which is why when some of our kinfolk say I'm conservative because of my grandfather or because of X, Y, and Z, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Because at that time, right, remember, black people didn't become Democrat until the Voting and Civil Rights Act, when JFK, and then because of his untimely demise, Lyndon B. Johnson carried those acts, and then we had a complete flip. So I'm willing to have the conversation. This is why I say I don't feel trapped in the same ways. But when people are unwilling to have the conversation and are unwilling to acknowledge that whether you like it or not, right now there really is one side that is blatantly returning to Protestantism. Nativism is what it's called, and that's like the Protestant white man with land and blah blah blah. Like there's one side, and that's the side that built the Ku Klux Klan. Let's be clear, that's the group that built the Klan. The nativists.
Interesting enough, in response to the Reconstruction era.
In response.
Yes.
So in response to Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're having an emergence.
We're in the deconstruction era.
Yeah, we're having an emergence.
It's
because
getting dark in here.
You're trying to send niggas back
and
to
notice
slavery.
that what you see is a clear-cut attack because of the reproductive justice conversation. This is why I'm making it make sense. Because of the reproductive justice conversation, black women are going to die. Because of the affirmative action, our people are going to lack access into spaces that we barely had access to.
Which is crazy. That was
Just got
access
was
brand new.
Wild, man. And you know what's so scary about that? I'm sorry to cut you off,
Go
right?
ahead. No,
But we are all of us are, for the most part, graduates in university, and a lot of us were able to get access to the university because of groups in Hudson Holland. All it takes is one or a group think that says, you know what, let's do away with those programs, and there's no federal backing, or there's no federal mandate that's going to keep those programs intact, and that is very, very, very scary.
Baby, think. What is this? This
That
is
could be gone
2023.
within 10 years.
I would not be surprised if in 2024 we don't see some sort of anti-affirmative action legislation that is directly attacking our universities. Right? I would not be surprised because Dr. Witten explicitly said IU will still be diverse.
4% worth.
Right?
It ain't even that
That's
much.
it.
So you think they're not coming for her?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. You think they're not gonna come for that? They're gonna come for that and say.
I mean, I got affected by
that's
that
wrong.
in high
Hey,
school.
where
They're
we
coming.
gonna go?
They're coming
Our
for
state?
black women business.
The venture capitalist,
capital fund.
Arian Simone.
Yeah, the person that did
They better
the
leave Kelly alone. I got Kelly
affirmative
fucked up.
action case
Exactly.
that brought it to Supreme Court, he's going after
He's
venture
suing-
capital.
Yep, I heard
black
about that.
venture
They feel like
capital.
they feel like it's biased to only
Yep.
Yes.
fund black women. How
Oh,
dare
my God.
How dare
and
we?
that's in
Crazy,
response to
man.
affirmative action. The Supreme Court's response to the affirmative action.
Affirmative action. So that's
this
what
is
it's the
scary stuff.
dehumanization.
Man.
It's the ability to say you're not valuable, therefore I can treat you this way.
Sick business.
Shout out to Kelly Johnson.
I asked that. Yeah, shout out to Kelly Johnson. I asked that question just because I feel like on both sides, people are, because of the two party like life. You may or may not agree with your entire situation, but you kind of like have to. You compromise yourself no matter what because you have to kind of go with your side.
Yeah.
And I feel like it happens to everybody. It's so blatant sometimes. Like, damn, I wish I had to do that
Absolutely.
because
But
you
is
just
that
look
not
crazy
life?
out here a little bit, huh?
Is that not life?
Doesn't have to be. There's a bit of like naiveness to it. Like obviously, this shit ain't gonna change. So it's whatever it is.
No, it's not.
But also, I feel like it's wild that like you have to
Do
your quality as a candidate is based on how much money you can raise. Like it shouldn't be a money thing.
Now the money thing is a whole different conversation because I have real beef with some of the money conversation because I agree with you.
But that's the game.
But that is the game. But that is the game because I think that's rooted more in because there are not enough people in the conversation. Does that make sense?
That's true.
Because make no mistake, Corey Bush in Missouri, someone who has experienced homelessness, who's a single mother, a black woman, a registered nurse, she flipped her seat, right? And she beat a millionaire. But that's because her city was like, we got you.
Had her back.
Right. So the money conversation, I can't stand it because I'm with you. I think the money makes more of a difference than it should, and it makes you compromise. But then you have some people who don't compromise, and those are the people we have to lift up, right? Like, those are the people we have to celebrate. Those are often the people standing alone in these conversations. Like, y'all forget. Shout out to Congressman Andre Carson. He's the only black man repping Indiana right now. He's the only black congressman.
He's a legend.
Repping Indiana right now, right? So how often do you be like, yo, I appreciate what you did, what you do on the Special Intelligence Committee? Right, because I believe he's helped
my family out with some stuff. So yeah,
right.
Shout
like,
Congressman
how often do we like go to him and be like, yo, I appreciate that, because that's lonely.
Rare.
Yeah, for sure.
Give him his flowers.
Right.
Indeed. I'd love to give them to him here.
And she ain't texting back this morning. We're gonna see. You got a plug on him too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do too.
Yeah, most of us do.
What's up, Drake? Nah, but so my last question before I'm gonna get out the way. You went to college?
Please ask all the questions because they help me serve our community better.
Yeah. This is more personal though. So
That was fire.
you went to college. How are you?
And just finished my master's, gang.
How are you dealing with the missed promise of the loan forgiveness?
Listen, let me tell you something. Joseph Robinette Biden, my fellow Catholic, sir, we really have to do better. But I recognize that is not just him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my greater conversation is, how do we hold the other individuals accountable as well? I'm going to keep pushing these conversations, right? Like, I'm going to DC next week. When I get there, when we're having the conversation with our black elected officials and the advocates in DC, I'm going to keep pushing that conversation. And I know that it's going to take time. So
I got time.
I deal with these things in the matter of, I'm such a long-term strategist, right? I don't mind being like, okay, I'm going to play this game. All right. Now, if I got to kick something down, I absolutely positively will. But is this something that I need to do long-term or short-term? Recognizing that because our capitalist society was built off of free labor, which is why it's as entitled as it is, why it's as dangerous as it is, why it's as lackadaisical as it is, that means that we have to look at those structures, which means that this is a longer game than a one-term Joseph Robinette Biden.
I do ask that though. I feel like he had to have known going in, like, I might not be able to get this done, but it just wasn't. It wasn't posed to us that way. It was
appealing though.
No. I think he did know, but I think his long term is
he shouldn't have a long term anything.
No, because he owed.
His time is timing.
His time is time. Yeah, but unfortunately, he comes from an old guard in which they are long term thinkers. Right? If you grew up in the same Congress as a Mitch McConnell who's been waiting to take away the constitutional right to abortion for 20-something, 30-something years, that means you play the same type of game.
Yeah, that's
right?
Gosh.
Right? They're not a Maxwell Frost who's coming in like, no, we have to talk about anti-critical race theory conversations. Right? They're not that. So we need to do a few things. We need to support them where we can, but we also need to make sure that our bench is ready. We also need to get the mics to run for office, because I keep trying to get him to run for office.
He's successful at it. You should do it again.
I'm voting for him.
Right? Like, we also need to build our bench and say, okay, and when they retire or when they go to glory, because one of them sometimes be closer than the other, then who we got? Because I'm not going to trust you. I can't just trust you to do this.
Right.
I need to be ready to step up too. Does that answer your question?
You mad like me, but you getting over it.
You provide.
You gonna keep fighting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be shitty
because
about
I'm like,
because October is next month.
No, because
they're back.
Like the plan B didn't work, baby. I'm in this.
Make sure you register to vote as well.
But make sure you register.
29 days before the election.
And you should register to vote soon because it's about to end.
Yeah, make sure you register
the first
to vote.
ballots go out at the end of September.
Make sure you do that.
In the municipal, vote in your municipals.
Last question. You know,
No.
when can we expect? Right, I know you mentioned you're behind the scenes, doing the inner workings, doing all the work for those candidates that you feel as though that can really make a change and be voted in. So, what is the pinnacle of success for you and your political work? What does that look like?
Oh,
where are you? Paint the picture. Take us there. Same thing for you, Mike. This is interesting.
Let Mike go first.
I can see you.
Yeah.
I can see Mayor Coleman, and I'm
Or something.
voting.
After you, Mike.
Go ahead.
I'm a blackmail him.
What I'm doing is
I know some things about you, Mike.
Blackmail him, Mike. For sure.
what I'm doing. I'm doing something.
Wire the money or the video goes out.
I'm screaming.
Now.
Sorry.
Hey, he gonna let the. Hey, he cool when the video drop. He breeze through it.
Oh my God.
He'll have a good comms person.
Really Harlem Shake
I will.
impression.
I will. Man, so I mean, for me, the pinnacle is knowing that. I mean, especially in this upcoming election, we're gonna be. We have an endorsement form that we're doing for the Marion County Young Democrats to endorse candidates that ask for help or funding. And if we're able to provide people to knock on doors or make phone calls, seeing and tracking those members that are doing that for them, and then also getting those elected officials that win to come back into Marion County Young Democrats if they are of age or be involved in some way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be aging out of Marion County Young Democrats soon.
I was actually, what's the limit?
No, you're not.
35?
It's 35, but in Marion County, I push for 36 in a day. And then we are working to raise that even more because I believe that Marion County can only be successful if we engage up to 40.
Yeah, so if that happens, we'll see how
That's
things go.
crazy.
But that's going to be
Veteran.
the pinnacle of success for me, seeing if we're putting people out there to knock on doors, make these calls, and tracking how much service hours they're doing, and then looking at how that affects the candidate that's running. Because maybe they have a team, maybe they don't. Maybe you have a team that only looks like one perspective, one race, one demographic of age. So if we're giving them young people that are of diverse populations, also religiously, that can help them. And then that can also help us because it shows us that we're making an impact in what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you, RaeVen.
So I go back and forth between running for office.
Naturally.
I go back and forth because I like whispering in the ear and being like, do this, do this, do this.
We've heard that before on the other side.
I like
Somebody
doing
else said
that.
something similar.
I like doing that. I only stand in front because I don't mind taking hits, and I'd rather take hits than to see my community take hits. So I don't mind that. I would love to have a show doing political commentary in your living rooms at night. Just, politics the right way.
like
Chat with
that.
me. Let's learn. Let's engage. Let's empower.
Get your microphone.
I-
Barrier to entry in podcasting is
Yeah, it's
No.
nothing. It's like the gun law.
You can have one.
They removed the background check.
Yeah,
You can
don't
get you a
exist.
mic.
You can have
and
a
mixer,
podcast next week.
Yeah, just pull up.
just pull up.
Yeah.
So that's
and
something
it's just as dangerous.
I would love to do and just sit back and watch my bench be elected. Right now, I have a group of individuals that I've been mentoring and collaborating with, and they are pretty much inserted into every level of government in pretty much every county of this state and in various counties across the nation.
Small council.
Right, you sound real
Because I
devious.
got my bench ready,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not going to wait for anybody to show up at the door. We already here and we knocking. If you don't open it, we going to be in it no matter what. So I would love to sit back and watch them do that, but I cannot do that until we are engaged in a way that I feel is satisfactory. And we are nowhere near that.
Yeah, we got work to do. Man, round of applause for RaeVen and Mike. This was a very fruitful, engaging
you.
conversation.
Thank
a
you.
good time.
Your response to more questions, I'm going to use that in my personal life. I want you
Please,
to know.
please,
You said
please,
the more
please.
questions you ask, the more you give me insight on how to. That was
Serve, yeah.
it was fire.
Because we're public servants.
Oh, I'm taking
We're
it.
servant leaders.
It's mine.
That's going.
It's mine. But thank you so much, RaeVen. That was beautiful, Mike. Thank you as well. Appreciate y'all.
Shout out to the
This
Young
was-
Democrats.
Yeah,
from
shout out to
Marion
Young
County.
Democrats in American County, holding
Join
us
us.
down in a multitude of ways.
We've got a
Shout out,
masquerade.
to the old Democrats in Marion County too, I guess.
Yes, shout out to our mentors. Shout out
For
to our
sure.
mentors who have.
And then
who
shout out
have
to the ancient Democrats.
Yes,
in
and this
Marion County.
conversation did not somewhat get you excited about voting. I don't know what else would, but you all,
Please.
no, that was great, and so thank you all for that. Thank you.
And shameless plug, we have a masquerade ball on October 21st at the Madam C.J. Walker Theater. We got DJ Solo as our DJ, and we got some real special.
I'm talking his language.
Yeah, we got some real special guests coming, like real special, not from Indiana. But I need y'all to be there.
Damn.
No, but I mean,
They're not
like,
gonna appreciate.
no, but I mean, like, I've been
wrong.
telling them about our city, and I don't want them to show up and they be like, "Where your city at?"
You done ruined the
They can leave. They have city fucked up.
Huh?
They can't say. No, I wouldn't. I don't care who. If I'm a fan of them and they say something like that, like where your city at, I wouldn't fuck with them.
No. I want to be able to. I want to be able to show them that we are awesome.
Shout out to the city, man. I like
This city is
Crazy.
amazing. The culture of this city is unmatched.
One of the greatest ever.
One of the
cities of all
greatest,
time.
irrefutably.
For sure.
About it.
We going crazy right now. The masquerade ball.
Shout out to DJ Solo.
Shout
Shout out to
DJ
Solo. Booked and busy.
For sure. Back man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get out of here, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all. Next.
Thank you.
Next.
That was tight.